Hello, this is Sushil, and welcome to You Next Officer. Today, let's start a new initiative of learning ethics. Yes, let's start how to approach ethics. How can we master concepts of ethics through answer writing? So, without wasting much of time, let's get into the topic. So, today's question is one of the basic one, and we are beginning this ethics with a simple question which reads out as, what do you mean by ethics, and do ethics and moral mean same thing? So if we look at this, if you look at the scenario, often in our daily life we consider ethics and morals that could be used interchangeably. This ethics paper has a lot of words which often used interchangeably while we write in daily life or wherever we conversate. So many a times you find questions asking to differentiate between those them, compare, contrast. So today let's differentiate what ethics are and what morals are. So shall we start? Okay. In ethics, you'll have some peculiar things. So those things you need to understand what actually ethics and morals would differ at. So mm, just pause the video for a second and just think in your mind what would have been the answer when you're asked to compare between ethics and morals. So ethics, if you ask me, is very generic term that is used to define the generally accepted principles within the society, not the individual, but ethics are some principles that are uh, set or set informally or standard practices. You can say some standard practice. Why are those standard practices used for or set at standard practice to ensure so each other are liking a scenario that is existing in the society or creating norms that are accepted by large section of society. So such things are ethics. And ethics not necessarily be a law. These are set usually by community, community or society, not by government. That's why many a times even in general studies we speak that it might be legal but not ethical, which means it sounds to be legal and within the framework of law, but it is not acceptable by society by and large. So these ethics are set of principles or standard practices set by community. Why do they want to do that? Maybe for harmony to exist. It is like finding a balance among their likes and dislikes and ensuring larger hatred won't be spreading. So community creates some standard practices to ensure harmony. So that's how the ethics would be defined in generic terms. Okay, so now what is moral? So, when you all these things are ethics, why do we need a new term by name? Moral. So, ethics is not individualistic, but what is accepted by community. It is group that decides ethics. So, when we come to morals, it is something that is acceptable by individual. Morals often deals with conscience. Uh, in many Indian languages, conscience would be like manasakshi, what they call. So it's about speaking to your soul when you speak to yourself, whether you found it right or not. So morality deals with individual thought process, not the herd mentality or the society or larger section of public. Morality is more of individual perspective. Here, as I said, inner conscience plays vital role than what other people think. Whereas in ethics, community plays vital role, and here comes many social stigmas and many thought process where people feel what society might think and will they accept it or not. So such acceptability matters would creep in when you say ethics, but morality is all about whether your own self is able to forgive you, whether your own self is able to accept whatever you have done. So, where would we use all these things? Or from where will we get or derive things, or where will we learn about these things? So, whenever you call about ethics, ethics would be related to sometimes ethics may come from law, sometimes not necessarily. Maybe from religion, yes, because people belonging to a particular caste, religion may reside together. So you'll find ethics derived from religion sometimes. So you find from these two anything else? Maybe a business organization, maybe corporate ethics or something. So a particular profession or business. So there will be some specific things related to that field, and maybe if you people are of similar thought process, morality may sometime converge to ethics. Okay, then what about morality? These are more of individual experiences, not group experiences, but individual experiences design, because based on the situations you faced, you find it difficult, acceptable, not acceptable, justified, injustice, whatever it is. Okay, can religion teach you morality or shape your morality? Absolutely. Why not? Religion can also shape your morality because many a times you speak or fear Or think about God. The concept of God can bring ethics, concept of God can be used to shape your morality. So this is where both of them may converge or not. So I think broadly I explained you what ethics and morality would look like. So coming back to the question, as they asked, ethics and morals means same thing. Then the first question asks, so just to plan how to write this question, you have some 7 minutes. If possible, write it in 6 minutes so that you can borrow this one extra minute to next question. This being a static question, very much easy and the basic one. So you define what ethics mean, and you define it as some principles or standardized practices set by society or community. Why do they do that? To improve harmony. Then, do we need to, as they ask two questions, do we need to spend 50-50? No, definitely not. With common sense, you will understand that 50-50 is wrong. Maybe like 20-80 or 25-75 should be the allocation for two questions. Now, let's jump into a place where we could look at a practical answer. This is how it could have been written. So first we started with definition defining ethics. We call ethics involves set of principles, systemizing or defending. Why do we need those principles? For systemizing and defending, and also for recommending rules existing in a community. Remember what I mentioned. Who determines? It's a community. Maybe a smaller community, larger one, maybe based on religion, maybe based on something else. So, community decides. Why do they want to define or set these rules? What is necessity? The prime purpose is to improve sociability. Man is a social animal. He need to meet other individuals, other human beings. So when they meet, they stay together with harmony. That harmony is possible if there is existing ethics or standards or some practices which may govern themselves. Okay, now we define and we make a transition from introduction to body smoothly, not hard landing. We don't directly jump. So we use two lines to connect introduction and body. Through that, we say ethics and morals are interchangeably used. But we find here you can use something like but we find striking contrast in them. Then you can write about ethics first and then morals. I use tabular form where we can compare it straight away. You can use serial number, maybe, or some other form. Representation is up to you. Use your creativity, whatever you want. I said the acceptability of ethics is confined to space and time because what is acceptable today might not be tomorrow. For example, you can even give examples. Those examples will add value that will bring that half or 1 mark extra. Maybe live in relationship. Someone who is living in relation may or may not be accepted by society based on which city you are living in and which year you are living in. Live in relationships are not acceptable in 1970s or 1960s, but it is accepted in 2020. So The acceptability of ethics is confined to space and time. Morals are something that transcends, are inherited by you, or shaped by, or acquired by yourself. Of course, moral is an acquired feeling. This acquired feeling might be transition, might be acquisition, or inheritance, which means you might learn from your parents and think similarly. You might learn from society, learn from your friends, and that's the reason, because of the friend group you have, you might be thinking that this is wrong, but might not be so. So the acceptability of morality transcends the norms laid down by culture. So culture has a role to play, whereas in ethics, though the culture has role, largely depends on space and time that you want to decide whether it is right or wrong. Of course, both deal with what is right and what is wrong, but the criteria employed to decide whether it is right or wrong differ, and the thought process, or what we go through while deciding whether it is right or wrong, changes. Okay, ethics depends upon the prism of other. If you remember, in earlier part of video I was mentioning that ethics depends on what others think. So ethics depends upon prism of other, how the vision, or how the point of view of others exists. So ethics depends upon that. But when it comes to morality, it is seen from individual perspective, what you think in your mind, what you think in your heart. Of course, scientifically speaking, we don't think by heart, but you understand what I mean. Emotionally, what you think, rationally, what you think matters while deciding in moral way. Or morality is seen from individual perspective. Society decides its right course of action. Again, I said society or community decides. Whereas in morality, you depend upon inner conscience. Inner conscience plays vital role in its determination. Okay. This actually resembles with the first point, but differs slightly. If you remember first point, we said ethics confined to space and time. Again, we reiterate and bring a subtle change that depends upon the context and ethnicity of the society. Remember, we speak culture that you have adopted over the years or adopted by your parents, maybe family, decides your morality, whereas ethnicity decides ethics. Just to end with one more point, it is associated in fields of law, medicine, business, not necessarily religious. If you remember, here we have discussed depends upon law, business, medicine, and other fields, not necessarily religion, may or may not be. But whereas morality, you find it on experiences that you go through, and also religion. So let's get back to the answer. If you remember where we stopped, morality has religious connotations. Hope you are able to connect and remind me what you understood or what you learned today. Then, just to summarize, you could bring in something to conclude. A person who follows ethical principles because society said so, society accepts if I do so, so he's following those principles, need not have strong morals just because smoking is banned within my society. I'm not smoking, but I know that it is injurious to my health. Still, I'm smoking. I know few things I should not be thinking about. Those are distractions because society doesn't accept. Publicly, I won't do that, but in my private space, I may think. So, this is what the sentence means, and there could be a situation where ethics are violated. That means I'm violating what is accepted by society or not. I may be living in relationship, but the person holds strong morals. I take care of my partner very well, but those strong morals need not be ethics, which means that make, in short, ethics and morals may or may not converge, is what we would like to mention. So, hope we added some value today, and in successive answers, I would bring multiple concepts of ethics through answer writing and other means if possible. So, hope you can keep following these videos, and till the time we meet next on a different day with different concept and different answers. Bye bye.